Good morning. Man, had some thoughts on my mind, so I figured I'd come out and man, let's talk about it. A lot of things going on this morning. I don't know which one I want to jump into. Anthony Mackie and the Captain America franchise needs $1.3 billion to break even. Not just because of the production budget, but all the other stuff that's added, all the other investments, the promotions, the whole nine. And I don't know about y'all, but on my social media algorithm, I'm seeing every time I close my phone to go do something, come back to my phone, like Marvel Studios is popping up and they're giving me an ad, some type of ad. I mean, they're at least on mine. They're pushing the shiggity out of this film right now. And I can't say that I'm mad at them for doing that. I think they need all the help that they can get. And I mean that. I really mean that. They need every bit of diamond. Now, I will say this. Now this might sound wild and bizarre and people might roll their eyes. But I don't think people recognize that $1.3 billion is not easy right now for the Captain America franchise to gather up. It's even if I'm gonna say something very very wild right now. Even if Chris Evans was our current Captain America, that would still be extremely hard. You would get seven. You would probably get 700 million off the rip. But the first week, you're doing him fighting the Red Hulk. I think you'll get around 3 to 4 million, and that's me being kind. Opening weekend, I think you'll do 3 to 400 million dollars opening weekend, and that's me being conservative because he could get more. I think unfortunately, from the comments that I've been reading and the sentiments that I've been seeing, a lot of people just do not see a regular dude that's putting on a Halloween costume with vibrating wings. Yeah, he can fly. He's got some training, and Captain America's shield can cut it against the Red Hulk. Um, Dude, writing is amazing. And listen, but nobody has an issue with Batman taking out Superman, right? Even without the suit. And then we got JMR 25. They would have to gotten 1.5 billion if they did the Blade movie right. They would have gotten 1.5 billion if they did the Blade movie right. I don't know about that. I mean, bringing in Wesley Snipes, you can argue that it's comparable, but you have to ask yourself who is he going to fight? Like, who is in his rogues gallery that has enough familiarity to where in a standalone, like no other heroes, like random, like maybe a random supporting cast, hell no, he wouldn't make that. I think the times, as we speak, I'm going to look up Deadpool and Wolverine box office because that was a monster of a movie. They made 1.3 billion and only 636 million in the U.S. That's Black Panther comparable as far as domestic box office. Now, I believe Black Panther made a little bit more than that globally, because again, I'm gonna repeat that because somebody missed it. I believe Black Panther made what 1.6. I'll pull somebody verify that for me, but they made 1.3 billion dollars. This is Deadpool and Wolverine easily outside of Iron Man. The brand, like, this was not easy to do. 1.3 billion, bro. Like, this is Deadpool and Wolverine just made that. Black Panther box office. Now, here's why I'm going to compare this, because this was in the MCU's heyday. Black Panther movies have grossed over two billion worldwide. Okay, because I know they came back to theaters. They grossed 1.32 worldwide when they first opened. I know it came back out, but it's saying 2.22 billion. But Yeah, these are listen. Black Panther, the movie, made around the same amount as Deadpool and Wolverine. Let that sink in. Is that because I mean, why is this comparable? Deadpool and Wolverine should have made more. If Deadpool and Wolverine would have came out around the same time, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, all the old Captain Marvel, because they made $1 billion too. People didn't like it, but it didn't matter. People cried and kicked and complained, but they went out and saw it because it was a freaking, it was the freaking heyday. It was the golden age of Marvel superhero movies. So everybody and mama still went. If Hugh Jackman and Wolverine came out around Endgame, Black Panther, 2018. Honestly, from Civil War on up, dude, they would have made $2 billion. Easy. Easy. They only made 1.3. Because there's still that level of skepticism, like, is this gonna really be a banger? There were still some people that stayed home. There were still some people that checked out. Um, $1.3 billion is a lot of money. They're only tracking to do right around $100 million the first week, and those are pre-sale tickets. Now, granted, you got some people that's just gonna show, like me. I'm not buying any pre-sale tickets or whatever. Maybe there's a discount there. I am not even familiar, remotely familiar with any of that. And maybe people who think like me are part of the problem. The way the tickets are tracking, and I accept that because it could be better. Um, if this movie would have came out, oh, I don't know, probably around in game times, it would have been 1.3 wouldn't have been as tough. But a Blade movie, I don't think it would have hit. Blade would have had a better chance than this movie to hit $1 billion, but you're gonna have to have a nice rogues gallery because people want to show up to see Wesley Snipes, but then the next thing they're gonna say is, okay, well, what's the plot? Okay, well, who's he gonna fight? I mean, he's already fought Dracula way back in the day. It was people didn't like that movie. I would say they would have to put some cameos in it to really send like to the first week make 500 million, and then just coast and hit a little bit over $1 billion. Um, moving on. So let me check out some of these comments. Does the last minute animanium Easter egg help? That's a really really good question. So I know Imani asked that question. So my attitude on that. We already know that Animadium exists, but in a different universe with Hugh Jackman in Deadpool. It's gonna make it intriguing. It's not gonna get them to 1 point. It's not gonna help them. It's gonna maybe help them a little bit get to 1.3. But here's the thing, man. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go dark. I'm gonna go a little dark this morning. As much as I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. A lot of people, but I'm gonna go back. Wait, first I'm gonna answer you this question, then I'm gonna go a little dark. You know, I gotta go dark. Um, it'll help a little bit, but where's the animadium gonna go? Like, is it because is Wolverine? Because this I don't even know. Is Wolverine the Hugh Jackman version we saw out of Deadpool and Wolverine? Is he now in the 616? Did he cross over into our universe? Is he gonna be the Wolverine moving forward? So then it begs the question. It doesn't really beg the question where the X Men in our universe. I think that's just dumb. Period. That you have to go grab X Men from another universe and bring them into this one, but this universe was created without the X Men, and no, they weren't just hiding someplace. Uh, I just don't see how you just allow Hugh Jackman to have always been in the regular Marvel universe this entire time, unless he's in the alternate, which that's what we saw in the movies. 1.3 is this unrealistic target, and okay, so I'm gonna go back to the second point. The thing that makes me semi sad is that, and we all have egos, man. I want to see a black character do well. Honestly, I'm not. I'm like but here's where I kind of pivot a little bit. I care little about Wonder Man, but if it's successful, great. That means that black actors that proves to certain people, don't prove to me, because I already know that proves that certain characters, black actors and black men and black superheroes, even black women, we can play anything and make it dope. Now, would it have been dope to elevate an original black character? Sure, but I doubt that the people that the executives that sit up at Marvel. I know this might sound strange because you're supposed to be executive, but a lot of these guys did not grow up with none of these original black characters, didn't read those stories, and they were basically the invisible characters to them. So when they talk about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, they think, well, black people love our characters probably more than they love their own. So let's just make them the white ones. Like in their mind, if I'm Scott, that's probably how I think. You know, other than Black Panther, who are black people really screaming and hollering for? If Black Panther, Storm, Blade, and Miles, what other black characters are black people screaming and begging and kicking and fighting for? Nobody. Just those four. Like people will talk about Luke Cage, but ain't nobody begging nobody for no Luke Cage movie, and that's unfortunate. But how many posts? Like Luke has never been in the MCU. Well, Marvel movies. He's been on a Netflix show, which, in my opinion, is the equivalent to a Black Lightning show. It's basically the same stuff, the street level fighting, and that's fine. And I think what Black Lightning went 3 seasons, and Luke Cage went 2 seasons, I believe. But whatever the case may be, I don't even think we're gonna ever see Luke Cage in the Marvel movies. And even if he pops up, you're gonna have to ask yourself, like, why did it take this so long? Because I just do not believe that those executives who make those decisions really look at Luke Cage as like, why add him? Even Daredevil should be in the Marvel movies. And the only time that we actually saw him was in the Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, whatever that movie was. And he wasn't even as Daredevil. They didn't even think enough about him to give him a movie. Granted, he has a Disney Plus show, but that lets you know where some of these characters are. They don't value spending the big bucks to elevate some of these characters because they feel like, okay, they're street level. Moon Knight included. Now, I wasn't a Moon Knight TV show fan at all. I thought it was silly. Did I read the comics? I read enough to like the character, but I just didn't like the direction of the film. With the multiple personalities, I don't think they did the best job with that. But that's a rabbit hole for another day. Let's check in some of these comments. The new Blade movie is going to be so good. Yeah, when I have grandkids, my grandkids get my age, we might see that. I'm pretty sure though, like I haven't heard anything about Mahershala Ali, and I think honestly they want him to leave. They want him to leave. Um, and maybe he has to a certain date, or his contract is non and void. But that movie should have came out years ago. But which is good though, because honestly, if Captain America isn't a banger, Thunderbolts isn't a banger, and then DC's not really helping with Superman, do you really need a Blade movie to come out right now where everybody is just basically automatically preset to hate everything? Especially if it's not going to be good. I'm okay with Blade getting scrapped right now if it's not right. Like, I don't want the turkey and the mac and cheese, the pizza, and the main course and all this good food if it's not cooked right. I don't want it if it's not cooked right. So for me, I'm in no freaking hurry to get a Blade movie. And if you give me a freaking villain, it's got to be right, man. I don't want him just to fight Dracula. I don't want that. And if you're gonna bring Morbius into it as a team up slash battle, honestly, the Morbius IP kind of went down with the Sony movies a little bit, and Sony ain't gonna play nice and let them borrow that movie anyways. But I'm glad. Speaking of Sony, I'm glad Sony decided not to move forward with any side character movies. At least that's what they said. Because the last couple ones have been trash because they just didn't have Spider-Man in it. If Spider-Man would have showed up, it would have had some life to it and just write a good script. But again, that's another one. Good morning, y'all. I think they are riding the fence with Wolverine in the MCU. I mean, I would because him and Iron Man are probably only and Deadpool are probably the only three characters. Even Chris Evans, I think, but Captain America. If Anthony Mackie, if this movie isn't good, Even if it's good, if it doesn't make 1.3, people are going to cry. Even if it makes 1.3, you're going to have the haters, blacks and whites, that's going to come out and say, look, see, I told you. And then break, even if it breaks even, people won't cry, say, oh, it just broke even. So even if you make 1.5, oh, they only make $200 million more, and those numbers can't be right. Like, those guys are always going to hate on it. You even have a lot of these YouTuber influencers that's coming out saying Black 10 America. White boys saying that. And they're trying their hardest to say everything but to call him the N word, bro. Some of these guys are. Some of these guys are just literally bamboozled to why this happened, to why a black man is wearing this red, white, and blue. And I get that because to them, Captain America is their character. Why are we doing all this race swapping? I understand 100% why Sam has to be Captain America. I don't like it, but unfortunately, him just being Falcon isn't good enough for the fans. It's not. And if it was, the same people, I said this on the last morning show, and people do not like this, but the same people that are calling for why can't Falcon just be Falcon are not calling for Falcon to have his own solo movie. You're not. And that's okay. But I think we got to call it a spade. Falcon just doesn't. And I think people have this pride like, oh, I can't, talk bad about Falcon. Some of y'all just do not want to see. Some of y'all, like a lot of people thought with Hawkeye, does not deserve their own movie. Maybe a Disney Plus show, but not their own movie. I don't want to see him as Captain America, and I don't think he's a strong enough lead for as Falcon. And I've heard people say that, but I think people are trying to bounce around that, and because they're saying everything but that. Some of this commentary that's out here, that's like, bro, I can tell by how you're writing and what you're saying that you just don't want. If Falcon is here, he needs to have Bucky, or he needs to have a supporting cast member to kind of keep him afloat. And I just wish people would just be honest. Now, me personally, 100% would love to see more Disney Plus Falcon, but it has to be written right. And are you going to tie it to Isaiah Bradley or Captain America? Or can you write it so well, make it so believable that people are just going to want to see that without a supporting cast? I don't know how that's going to look. All right, let me jump back into the comments. I think they're around the fence. I said they're going to make Wonder Man a comedy. Fine. I haven't heard one person ask for just a Wonder Man movie. Period. Black, white, I don't care about the race swapping part. I haven't heard see anybody ask for a Wonder Man movie. So this is their shot. I think it should be white. I think you can have a black standalone film with an original black character, but we know we're not going to get that because that's not even in their mindset right now. Their mindset is that black people love white characters more than they love black characters, with exception to Miles, Storm, Blade, and Black Panther. Everybody else is fair games. They don't care enough, and it shows in the sales. It shows in what they talk about on social media. It shows in their cosplay. It shows like we it shows in how we move and where we also spend our money. I think it's very indicative of that where we spend our money. When Falcon had his own solo series, I keep saying the same thing. It's like I'm starting the record all the way over again. Falcon only sold like what 9 copies of the Rodney Barnes series. Black Love, the whole nine. But we know that Black Love didn't have Storm and T'Challa in it. So did people really buy into Misty and Falcon just as hard? Should they have even bought into it just as hard? Y'all be the judge of that. Should we even be comparing? Why are we even comparing Falcon and Misty, Storm and because I see that too, Storm and T'Challa. How come we just can't celebrate Misty and Falcon over here and Storm and T'Challa over here? How come we can't keep it separate and just celebrate them both? Why does one get more priority than others? I'm not giving y'all my opinion on that. I'm just showing y'all what I've seen, showing y'all what people are talking about. Um, Century should have been a bigger person, absolutely. If they do a Blade movie, they need to leave the daughter out of it. If she is in it, they will make a bait switch movie, get a movie about this daughter and not him. You can bring her daughter in there, but you got to do it right. You can't do a passing of the torch because that's just gonna piss people off. If you do a passing of the torch movie where she becomes the new Blade and he dies or whatever, I mean, I know you can have a send off, but I don't think that's what fans want. But Wesley Snipes is up there in age, man. Not to say he can't fight and still can't move, but he even said in a behind the scenes featurette, like a lot of people, he said, man, I had to step my game up and get myself in shape. It was some parts of me that wasn't looking right. I had to tone it up. I had to go back and train, and that's fine. All actors have to go back through that stage. Question: what does a solo Falcon Disney Plus show look like that gets black and white fans interested in him? Thank you for asking. Thank you for being honest, because nobody wants to talk about that, but that's the elephant in the room. This is Charles Stewart III. Is it destructive? I'm sorry, deconstructive of his character, or just refreshing new makeover? That's a good question. Oh man, Falcon. Unfortunately, a lot of these black characters, they were created, but they were so solely tied to white characters because white artists and writers wrote them. When Black Panther came out, he was a semi exception to the rule, but as soon as he came out, he fought the Fantastic Four. He would cameo in different stages like Captain America, the Fantastic Four, again, the Inhumans. He made a cameo, but then they said, "Look, man, he's not going to get his solo series. We got to tie him down. He's not a mutant. He can't join the Fantastic Four. We got this other team called the Avengers, and then they connected him to the Avengers." Um, I don't see it, man. I don't. You're gonna have to cameo it up. You're gonna have to have War Machine drop in. You can do Misty Knight. You gotta keep Steve's name out of. You gotta keep Steve out of it. You can't have Falcon like, man, I miss Steve, and what are we gonna do without Steve? Because it pushes that sidekick narrative, which he never was. That's my partner. That's my man. It's like that's another thing that they're gonna have to do with War Machine, which I don't even know if they're gonna do. Like, if I could write that, it would be beautiful. Because keep in mind, like, so okay, so what do you mean the same thing War Machine? So Tony's gone. So it's all Rhodes. Rhodes, if your suit breaks down, it's all you now. You're running Stark Enterprises. In the comic books, Jim Rhodes ran Stark Enterprises. He was the CEO. It was temporary, but he ran Stark Enterprises when Tony Stark faked his death. He even had Rhodes thinking he was dead. Um, with that with a War Machine story, all you gotta do is have Rhodes going through withdrawal because most of his teammates are dead, and he's got to pick up this company. He's got to pick up the mantle. Maybe you have him to pick up the Iron Man mantle temporarily, have him face some backlash because it's a black man in a suit, and you're not Tony Stark's. People might say it's woke, but I would touch on that just a bit, and then I would have him to say, "Nah, man, I'm gonna make my own. I'm gonna make my own War Machine suit. I might get some help from some people. Of course, it wouldn't hurt. Rhodes. A lot of people don't know Rhodes' suit has vibranium in it. So even if he goes and leans into Wakanda a little bit and say, "Yo, let me borrow some of that vibranium," but just make me a bigger, better suit in the film with him saying, "No, I'm War Machine. I'm my own man." Whoop whoop whoop. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna fly. Falcon at the end of this film needs to. Does he really need to pick back up the Falcon mantle? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. They did a deconstruction, or at least an explanation of was a examination of Falcon the Winter Soldier. I don't know, man. I don't mind him being paired up with Bucky at all. I think that gives Sebastian Stain. Um, it keeps him working. I like his character. Um, I think that'll be cool. Let's talk a little bit about these terrorists. Switch gears a little bit because we're gonna run Falcon. I mean, Captain America's not gonna make 1.3 billion. And people, and the haters, the racists, the not my Steve Rogers, not my Captain America folks are gonna come and they're gonna have a big party about it. And it is what it is. This was dead in the water, unfortunately. Um, and his comments recently Kind of took me for a little bit of a loop. I thought we did see a lot of backlash. There is a lot of people that are defending him and saying, well, Captain America, the Captain America Anthony Mackie is talking about is the Captain America from the comic books. Yeah, but anytime you pick up, what country do you represent? America. What colors are you wearing? America. You got to take that entire resume. You got to take the colonization. You got to take the protest, the rioting, the racism. You also got to take the good stuff, the good and the bad. All that stuff is embodied on who you still represent. I can't walk outside of my job. I'm sorry. I can't wear my job's uniform on social media and start saying a bunch of crazy stuff and saying, oh, I'm not like my job, I'm this, but I'm working for my job. Like, you work for America. This is your country, bro. So there's a lot of people making that argument that, bro, you still represent America. You got to represent the good and the bad parts. Now, you can easily say when Anthony Mackie responded, he could have easily said, look, I represent the best of America. My Captain America represents the best of America. And he could have went on. We would have never even heard about that. Nobody ever would have cared. When he made the comment about not America and then go on to list all the great things, people got upset. Now, was he right? Sure, he was right. Hell, he was right. And people are like, oh, you got it. Well, I'm glad he kept it real. I'm glad he kept it real. And it's like, here's my thing. If you really gonna keep it real, when Marvel Studios came to you and told you, we want you to be Captain America, you should have went in front of TV and made that same statement and then turned down the role. That would have been keeping it real. But you decide to pick up that shield, you decide to pick up that mantle, you pick up all of America on your back. When you go over to Russia and or went over to Hitler and punched him in his mouth, you didn't punch him in his mouth as Steve Rogers. You punched him in his mouth as America. So for me, it's a little, I appreciate what he said. Is it going to sell some tickets? Nope. There's a lot of people that's defending him. Probably not going to still go out there and watch that movie. Absolutely. It's not going to get you to 1.3. Did you keep it real? Sure. Did it hurt your numbers a little bit? Probably. But you weren't going to make that 1.3 million regardless. So let me be clear, because I know some people might be a little confused. I think Anthony Mackie is right. But I also don't think that America likes to look at themselves in the mirror. But I think also when people say, well, he kept it real, I think that the keeping it real part should have been, I'm Falcon and I represent the best part of America, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to put on a white man's underwear to be Captain America. All just so a movie can flop. I don't need to do that. I can be myself. And if that means I need to get in here in the studio and help y'all write and put this thing together, or just give me another Disney Plus show, fine. Had it been me, I would have stood 10 toes on the original black character they gave me. I never would have picked up that shield. Because if America is that bad, don't pick up the shield. Because I don't want to say you're almost co-signing it, but be willing to take on the good and bad attributes. You cannot separate yourself from it. Now, I know Steve tried to do that in the comic books, but in my mind, bro, you got to wear that L, bro. You got to wear all the L's. If you can take the W's, you got to be able to take the L's. Now, when people go and do dumb stuff in the streets, that's not your fault, but it still represents the culture here in America. When people say and do crimes, or if our crime rate shoots up, right? You Captain America. That's a part of. It's not all on your shoulders, but you still represent this country. You're not Captain Mexico. You're not Captain Better America. You're Captain America. It is what it is. It is what it is. If I right now go and make a stupid video or go and attack somebody on social media, I represent Black comic lords. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, he represents Herschel comic lords. No, I represent Black comic lords. All of it. So when Black comic lords do well, I'm gonna want to stand up there and take a photo. And when black comic lords don't do well, we drop the ball on something, I gotta wear that too. Because I am Captain Black Comic Lords. Paul is Captain Black Comic Lords. Richard is Black Comic Lords. If Paul gets on here and he says something crazy, he's part of the team. I can't separate. I can't draw a circle around Paul and separate myself. It's part of the team. So for me, I look at Captain America as, bro, it's your country that you're fighting for. You might not agree with all the ideas, but it's still your country. And to the people outside of this country, and even inside this country, this is who you represent, bro. It's a part of wearing that, like being a police officer. It's part of wearing the badge. Not fair, because all cops ain't racist and ain't bad. But when one bad cop does something, yeah, people go drive by and look at all cops like that. Some people do that. It's just a kind of a part of America, man. Um, let's talk about even black people. One black person does something crazy on TV. Now they think we all like that. Is it fair? No. I'm gonna say that 3 times. Is it fair? No. Is it fair? No. Is it fair? No. But that's the way public opinion in society moves. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. I'm gonna get off of that. I'm gonna get off of that one. Yes, that's the why the stars and chess was removed. He went rogue. Right, and guess what? He was called the captain when he went rogue, and like in the comic books. But also keep in mind, it was another man wearing Captain America's outfit. John Walker. He was Captain. He was the what I think the fourth Captain America, but he was the Captain America of the '80s for a long time. And then Steve picked back up the shield. But guess what? All that crazy stuff John Walker was doing, what was a different Captain America? It was still Captain America. It was still Captain America. He was a part of the people that was America. Still Captain America. It is what it is. Um, Again, I'm not agreeing with the sentiment of, well, the comic Steve, that's the Steve that Anthony Mackie was referring to. A lot of these mofos out here, including some of y'all, have never even read those issues. And that's okay. Have never even read those issues. When people look at these superhero movies, especially the majority that actually goes out here and buys this stuff, they're looking for one thing. And so my thing is, if you want to keep it real all the way, and just keep your own suit on, be Falcon, stand 10 toes on that. Don't pick up the don't pick up that oppressor shield. Now, if you want to be the better version of it, fine, but it's gonna come with some kickback. Be willing to deal with that. I don't know, man. Let me get off that. Let me get off that. Tariffs. Donald Trump just slapped a tariff on Mexico and Canada. 25%, 10% on China. Now, it's gonna be tight. If you was on a budget, your budget finna be tighter because prices are going to go up. It is also going to affect comic books. Now, a lot of LCSs have closed within the last 5 years. Party City's closed. Big Lots I'm sorry, Party City has closed a lot of these stores, and they consume a lot of paper. Ooh, a lot of paper. And so does Big Lots. They close too. Now, shops and stores, they have an expiration date, all of them. Macy's and Dillard's had to close some of their stores. I mean, these type of things happen. Now that things are extra tighter, and we're already seeing inflationary prices. How do you guys think these prices are going to fare with these comic books? I believe right now you can buy a comic book for what, $4.99. If I'm lying, if I'm lying, I'm lying. But I think around between $3.99, $4.99, right? And so out the door, if you buy that one comic, I think it's like $5.34 or $5.35, something like that. Do you think, guys, how high do you think these books are going to adjust by next month? Do you think we'll be seeing $7 or just $1 price hike? $1 price hike, I think we'll be fine for the most part. Most comic book consumers, most are 35 and up. Most 35 and up are already well. into their a career path versus just flipping burgers and just working a job that are in this hobby. This hobby does require you to spend some money. Um, are you guys going to cut back? Is this going to hit you guys hard? Are you guys financially stable enough to be able to pay the extra $2 per comic book a month? If that, I'm thinking that that's me being a little crazy on the numbers. Maybe it's a quarter more. It could be a quarter more. It could be $2 more. I couldn't see it going up $3 though. What do y'all think? He should have said something to the of. He is the hero of the world, just as America is composed of folks around the globe. Yada yada. I don't know. Saying you the hero of the world makes people kind of feel like you trying to save everybody. And I know a lot of people in different parties don't want to be the hero for the world. There's a lot of people who are against us sending money to Ukraine, sending aid to all these countries, and been trying to save all these countries. And then meanwhile, we got veterans and sick kids running around here in dirty water still in Flint. So I mean, a lot of people just want us to be just America first. A lot of people just want us to be America first. So y'all definitely can talk about that down in the comments. But let me clarify. I agree with Anthony Mackie's comments. I'm just playing devil's advocate for what I heard online and what I saw people, some of the backlash. I just hope that a lot of people that are keep saying that Steve was about the better part of America. I sure hope you guys are going to buy some tickets because defending Sam Wilson, or I'm sorry, defending Anthony Mackie's stance on that and actually not watching the movie is actually worse than being mad. Um, go see the movie. Go if you go see the movie. Granted, we know he ain't gonna break even. 1.3 million is crazy work. I did make a video. The only way that he'll be even close if Donald Trump steps in and says, "I'm gonna go watch the movie." Then a lot of those people are gonna reverse field because you know how they get. They'll reverse quick. They'll reverse field overnight and be like, "Oh yeah, we gotta go out and support it." But that's wild and bizarre within itself because he ain't gonna never say nothing like that. But I just do not see anything. And then Chris Evans, people keep showing the old Chris Evans. Let me say this. I'm about to get off. Show's about to be over. People want to say, I let back comments their opinions out of some of these things going on comments on my music. Listen, let me say this about Chris Evans because I think this needs to be said. It's the last thing. I know somebody is dying for me to say this. Chris Evans made a let's be honest, if you read what he said, Chris Evans in 2011, time matters here, said a similar comment about with regards to Captain America, the character he's playing, and the culture. You got to understand, Chris Evans is a white male saying this. Chris Evans also said this in 2011. Barack Obama was in office. The world was a lot more liberal than it is right now. And guess what? Forget the color, forget the climate. Here's the biggest thing. Chris Evans did it when the MCU was in this golden age. So people didn't even care. And I remember when he said that. I didn't even care. Because the movies were so good, people were on a high. He has the protection. He has the complexion for the protection. Absolutely, that's playing a role. Chris Evans comes out and says that right now. People are like, "Oh, he's a wokester, da da da." But I'm gonna go see this movie because that's my captain. That's my Captain America. That's exactly what they would have said. But we're also in a time right now where movies aren't doing that good. Movies, period, aren't doing great. I mean, there's some that are doing that are the exception to the rule. But the Marvel movies aren't doing great right now. And Anthony Mackie has already got everything stacked against him. So we'll see what happens. I definitely will be there either Thursday or Friday. We got MegaCon coming up. I'm debating on whether or not I'm actually going to attend. Yeah, man, y'all be smooth. This is Herschel. I'm out. Black Comic Lords Morning Show. Hope I ain't piss off too many people. But hey, sometimes we do that. All right. We out. All right, in the video. All right, we out.